So listen, coming back from London town, Richard, right? I was reading in the article that it was very interesting to me. I had to read the thing 3 times when I read the sentence. It said, Richard is a volunteer on the United States medical team. Even though he got selected to be there, he's still a volunteer. Well, that caught my interest, and I read 1 paragraph sooner, and it says, that means he pays.
That's correct. It pays all out of pocket.
So the good news is you were selected to be on the United States Olympic medical team.
That's an honor to be selected.
It's an honor to be selected. The bad news was
you pay for it out of your pocket.
You pay for it out of your own pocket.
So,
but you know, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I'm sure it's costly, Richard, but how many people can say that?
Well, that's exactly right. Because how many people can say that? You can go. You can be a spectator, and to be a spectator at the Olympics, that's great in itself. Not you know how many people can say that, but to be a therapist and walk through the security behind the scenes and go into the training room behind the scenes and working with the athletes behind the scenes. I mean, you're working with world-class doctors, world-class physios, world-class. Everything's world-class. I mean, it's another world, isn't it? It's another world.
Yes. So when you look at these athletes on TV, these men and women, I mean, you know what? Sometimes they look in such great shape, Richard, right?
Oh, they're incredible.
I mean, incredible shape. I mean, they almost look bionic. They look in such superb shape. And I often think about what it must be like for some of these men and women, Richard, who train at a minimum 4 years for the newest ones, and some of the other ones for 12 years. And they get to one of the Olympic trials, and they pull a tendon, and they can't compete.
Yeah.
And there goes, pick a number, 4 years, 8 years, 12 years down the drain.
That's right. That's very
Have you seen that?
heartbreaking. No, fortunately, I have not seen that, where somebody was, I've seen some injuries, but not where they were pulled out of competition.
I see.
So,
and when you see the injury and you have to treat the Olympic athlete's injury, there's probably not much, is there much turnaround time to get him better, Richard, between events?
Yeah, again, it just depends on, you know, were they injured in just before competition, or were they injured in practice, you know, because they practice, you know, they're going over there, starting to go over now, and they'll start to practice now. So, you know, when they're practicing, they may get injured, and their competition may be 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Which would give them time. And or if they got hurt just before competition, then that's a whole different story.
You know, I've got to ask you this question because there's been so much attention paid to this, Richard, really. And that is the dark side of the athletic competition, whether it's the Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics, World Games, whatever they are. And it's athletes getting themselves all messed up by, I mean, you know all the terms better than I do, the doping or the this or the that. I mean, do they have the constraints and metrics and regulations in place now that they're clamping down more and more?
Yeah, in the Olympic environment, they're so strict in their anti-doping. They go through so many tests that there's no possible way that they're going to be taking any kind of drugs. Yep.
So tell me,
very controlled.
So tell me, what are these? I mean, they got to be anywhere from what, 16 years old to 32 years old.
How about that? Yeah. There's some of the older ones are, you know, in their 30s.
In their 30s, but I mean, these are the top men and women athletes in the world, and there they are in the Olympics. What do these people do for entertainment?
They train.
They train.
Yeah, exactly right. They train. That's their whole life.
So what do they like, cage the animals?
Their whole life is training. That's what they do. They train.
They train.
Yeah.
And tell us what training means to one of those people, Richard.
They probably, depending on, you know, what their specialty is, but they probably train 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day.
You know, in segments, you know. But that's what they do. That's what they do for a living. They train.
And you know, Richard, I was watching an Olympic special, and they went back like 25 years about the way the athletes trained and the way they train nowadays, and the marriage of medical technology, computer technology, and exercise physiology. It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, you would appreciate it as a massage therapist. The measurement of the muscles and the tendons.
So scientific.
It's so scientific. It's unbelievable.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, have you met some famous athletes along the way?
I've met a lot of different athletes, not necessarily famous, in the venues that I've worked previously, like all the superstar, like the United States and Russia and all the big teams. They have their own teams. So the athletes that I worked on were more the common countries, I don't know if that's a proper word, but common countries. So we didn't really get the chance to work on superstars. But back in Atlanta, I was assigned to tennis, so I worked on all the male tennis players. So all the professionals, Mellevai Washington, Leander Paz, Andre Agassi, who was there but never got massage, but used to tell some great stories in the training room. Yeah, he had some great stories.
Do you have a particularly favorite incident or story you can think of?
Not necessarily. I was thinking about that, but I really don't have anyone as far as an athlete goes. I mean, I know Mellevai, when I was working on him, and again, this was going back in '96. He had some low back problems, and so that's what I was working. And actually, after the Olympics, it was the New York Open was the next tournament, and he had to pull out. He had to pull out of that tournament because of his back problems. But I really don't have any specifics.
So listening to you talk, I guess if I had to list for you the categories of why you're doing this, just gleaning from what you said, I would list something like, there's got to be the excitement of it, there's got to be the pride of it, there's got to be the once-in-a-lifetime experience of it, being in the stadium.
That's right.
And is it all of the above?
It's all the above. It's all the above. It's the adrenaline is just pumps from the minute you get off the plane.
Yeah. And how long are you there?
I'll be there for 25 days.
Almost a month?
Almost a month. I'll be there for 25 days, yep.
Wow. Yes. Now, can you bring the family with you?
No, unfortunately, no, because it's actually, our office is just myself and my wife. There's just the two of us. And there's no way I can afford to close down my office for 25 days.
That's right.
And then pay out of pocket all that. No,
so what you've indicated to your wife is that you stay home and keep things going, and I'm going to London for a month.
She's a good sport because she's done it. This is the fourth time she's doing it.
Does she have any comments by now, Richard? Or
no. She's happy that I'm going. It's definitely a partnership.
Yeah. So if we were together, there isn't going to be time to do it, but let's create a hypothetical circumstance, right? If it were a month after you got back from the Olympics, right, and I had you on the show, what do you think you'd be saying to me after being there for 1 month?
I'd be talking about the athletes. I'd definitely be talking about the athletes, because then after a month later, I would know. I'd be talking about their physical conditioning, their body, because that's topic of a conversation. Just at night when you're after a day's work, when you go home at night. When
you mean you're talking to other medical
people, you talk about, oh my God, you should have seen his guy's quads, or this guy or this lady.
Naturally,
it's unbelievable.
For you, that's part of work.
Yeah, and the other piece would be I'd probably be talking about London. I mean, London was interesting. Even the short, I was there for 3 days. I got to look around I had 1 day off out of that 3.
Had you ever been to London before?
No, that was my first.